Hey, it's Alex with LoverFighterWriter, and in this video, I'm going to show you my top 7 favorite Nichesss AI writing tools for writing fiction and making money by selling writing or marketing services to authors. So the AI writer that I'm working with today is called Nichesss. It's at nichesss.com, and they have a really good lifetime deal on AppSumo right now, which you can get through my affiliate link in the description if you want to do so. That'd be great. And this is actually the first AI writer that I ever used. And although it was much simpler then than it is now, it was still powerful enough at the time to really inspire me to get into this industry and discover everything that it could be. And Nichesss has gone through so many updates since then. I can't believe that I got this for like $59 or $69 for lifetime or whatever it is, and that's still the price. And you can just do so much with this. I think there's 195 different content tools in all these different categories. And that does include a one-click blog article generator, which is pretty solid, and a long-form writer. And you can make your own tools. You can generate AI images. It does all kinds of stuff. And I do have a full review and tutorial that you can check out. I'll link that in the description as well. But in this video, I'm just going to focus on my 7 or 8 favorite tools that are related to writing fiction. If I go to the filter by tag here and I select books, then that's going to show me most of the tools. So I'm going to demonstrate all of these tools except for recipes and table of contents, because the rest of them are all kind of related to fiction. And then there's also a tool called country name generator, which I'm going to show as well, because that's something that you can also use in the course of writing fiction. So anyways, that's a quick breakdown of what this tool is. If you want to check it out on AppSumo, you can get my affiliate link in the description. And now let's jump right into the tutorial. So the first one we're going to look at is book ideas. And one problem that a lot of writers face, this doesn't really happen to me anymore, but I do remember when it used to. It's just that at this point, I've been writing fiction for so long, and I've been taking notes about all the ideas that I have, that I have so many book ideas that I want to work on that I have detailed notes on. So whenever I want to write something, if I don't have a specific idea, I can always grab something that I've previously worked on and revitalize it or adapt it. But I'm in a lot of groups for writers, like Facebook groups and Discord servers, where people talk a lot about writing fiction and the struggles that they face. And one thing that I do hear a lot is people talking about how they want to write a story about a specific idea or a specific interest or topic or theme, and they just have trouble coming up with an actual idea for what kind of story to do. And so that's where this book generator template can really help. So you can just put in an interest or a topic here. And so I just put in coming of age, low fantasy, and magical world. And the example that I was kind of going with here was The Wizard of Oz, which is a coming of age, low fantasy. It could be considered high fantasy story where a young girl visits a magical world. So that was kind of like the themes that I broke it down into. But obviously, if you're using this to generate new ideas, then you would just put in the things that you want to write about, and then you tap Get Content. And then it gives you a bunch of one-sentence ideas for stories. And with this template and 2 others that we're going to look at today, you can actually use what's called the snowflake method, which is the method that I usually use for developing my story ideas. There's a lot of different ways that you can storyboard or plot out a novel, but this is kind of the main method that I use. And it starts like this, where you come up with the thing that you want to write about, and then you create a 1-sentence explanation of what the core story is. And usually that sentence will include a mention of the main character and whatever main struggle they face. And then you expand that sentence into 1 to 3 paragraphs approximately that gives a bit more detail about the main character and the story and the challenge. And then you adapt that short summary into a full outline, and you just kind of keep expanding and expanding and expanding. And it's called the snowflake method because you start at the center of the story and you just kind of branch out in all directions, and then each branch becomes more branches. And so if you were to plot it out on paper, it actually looks like a snowflake design. But anyways, that is the book ideas generator. And not all of these tools have specific ways that you could potentially use them to make money selling services on their own. But I think with this one you could. Because as I mentioned, I see people talk about how they're not sure what story idea they want to do all the time. So I think if you were to put together a service package for $20 or $50 or $100 or something like that, where you basically say, okay, if you're a new writer and you're looking for story ideas, You just tell me what ideas or themes or interests or topics you want to write about, or you could even devise an interview where you ask them a few questions to get that out of them. And then you can just come in here and use this tool a whole bunch and then take the best ideas from it, soup them up a little bit, and put them in a spreadsheet and give that to the person. And that's something that I think a lot of people would probably pay a reasonable fee for. Obviously, it wouldn't be like a high ticket product. It would be something like $20 to $100 maybe. But I definitely think that there are people that would buy that. The next one we're going to look at here is the AI story generator. So the idea here that you just put in a one sentence explanation of the story. So it would kind of be like what we just looked at with book ideas. And then it will write out a short version of the story. So this could potentially be used to expand your one sentence into the longer summary or description of the story. And you could use this in the same way. It could actually be like an upsell. So you could sell someone, say, a pack of like 50 book ideas and then tell them, pick your 5 favorite and bring them back to me and I'll write an outline for them. And then you could use this tool as part of that process. Next up, we have the country name generator, which I mentioned earlier. It's pretty cool, and I really like it because you can change to these custom tones. First, I used Majestic, and then I had to try Pirate because obviously pirates are awesome. And I wanted to mention this feature that I've been using. Whenever you use an AI writing template, you generally have to put in an input in a text box like this. And sometimes you'll end up using the same or similar inputs over and over in different tools. And so that's what this is for. You just tap that, and then you'll see a list of your recent inputs here, and you can just click it, and it'll auto-load it in there, like this, living. See, it just drops a previous input in. So I was actually using this to just put this in different tools and stuff. And I actually used the country name generator to come up with a book for my Wizard of Oz parallel idea here. It was down here. One of the first ones that I generated was Umbra Terra. And I'm pretty sure that that just means shadow earth in Latin. I know that Terra is earth in Latin, and Umbra is the root word for shadow. So I assume that's probably Latin as well. So it's pretty on the nose and simple, but if you were writing like a kid's book or a young adult fiction, then most people that age don't know Latin, so that might actually work there. And this is actually a big help for me because even though I've been writing fiction for over 20 years and I have a very good handle on most of those writing skills, one thing that I've never been good at is choosing names for characters and for locations. I'm pretty good at coming up with names of businesses and things like that, like in a fantasy world, like the name of a tavern, because what I'll do is I'll come up with an idea for a character and like what they do and then how they ended up deciding to build a tavern and then kind of build something out of that. But when it comes to character names and country names and planet names, I really struggle with that because I'm not really sure where to start. And so this is something that I will probably use as I get back into writing more fiction. I just started writing a novel for the first time in like 4 years because I've been so focused on my marketing business that I haven't done a lot of fiction writing. But I'm getting back into that, and it's pretty exciting, and I have a whole bunch of ideas that I want to work on. So I wouldn't be surprised if I use this at some point. And in terms of a way that you could make money with this tool, you probably wouldn't be able to sell it as a package deal like the previous two that we talked about. However, this could certainly be used as part of a writing coaching service where someone wants to write a book or they're working on writing a book and they kind of need help getting from the blank page to giving it to an editor part. So I would kind of, read what they're working on and discuss it with them and give them some ideas on how to improve their writing or how to improve their ideation or whatever it is that they're struggling with. And so a part of that, depending on your relationship with the client, might be brainstorming country names or something like that. So you could use that here. This is the plot generator. And as you can see, I put in my coming of age, low fantasy, magical world. And it just generates like a 1 to 3 paragraph plot summary for the type of story that you mentioned. And then next we have the story outline generator, which is where you put your plot in. So you can use a plot that you generated, or you can just type in a story idea that you're working on in your head. And then it copies and pastes the plot that you provide here, and then it breaks it down into a series of structured story steps. So if you wanted to use this to do the full snowflake method, then what I would do is start with book ideas, and you would put in your interest or topic or theme or whatever that you want to write about, and use this to come up with a really good 1-sentence description of the story. And then I would come over to plot, and I would put in that 1-sentence description here instead of a theme. Then I would come over to plot and I would put in that one sentence description of the story instead of a theme. And then it'll generate a slightly longer, more fleshed out version of that. And then you can take this plot, you can just come over here, hit copy, and come into outline. And then you just drop your plot in here and say get content again, and it'll give you that step-by-step outline. Anyways, that's how I would use that for the snowflake method. Again, it's probably the method I use the most to outline story ideas, and that is, of course, something that you could sell as a service or as part of a coaching service or whatever the case might be. The book title tool is really nice. Writing book titles is kind of a weird thing. I actually really enjoy working through ideas for my own book titles, and I think that that's a very kind of a personal, hands-on process. So I personally probably won't use this too much. But again, for a less experienced writer, coming up with good titles can be very difficult. Or if you're just stumped on something and you don't know where to start, then using AI is a really great way to kind of get yourself thinking in one direction or another. And this, again, could probably be included as part of a coaching service or something like that. And then the last two are the book description and author bio. So a book description is like if you have ever bought like a paperback book, it's the little outline or description of the story that goes on the back of the book. Or if you buy a hardcover book, it might be on the inside cover. And I guess in an ebook, it would be like the description that you read before you decide whether you want to buy it that kind of entices you to buy it. And that's what it's always been. It's either on the back of the book or on the inside cover, or it's on the website. And that's what is going to tell you what the book is about and get you to buy it. And honestly, a lot of people really struggle with writing this, and a lot of people struggle with writing their author bio. Because the thing about a lot of creative writers is that they really like to express themselves without talking about themselves. And a lot of time, what creative writers are doing are expressing some feeling or experience or idea or theory or something like that that they have that's very personal to them. And they're finding a creative or allegorical or metaphorical way of expressing that and explaining that and putting that on paper where it's not about them, and so the focus doesn't stay on them. And all of that is to say that a lot of fiction writers are very introverted. They don't like talking about themselves. They don't really know what to say when they're trying to talk about themselves and describe themselves or even describe their own book. And of course, that's really important because this book description is designed to get people to buy the book. And the author bio is something else that a lot of people are going to read before they decide whether or not to buy the book. So you really need to do a good job of writing these things, but a lot of people don't know where to start and they're just uncomfortable with the idea of doing it. So I know for a fact that a lot of authors, including a lot of first-time authors who are just, self-publishing their first book, the two things that they're most likely to spend money on are cover design and on book descriptions. An author bio is probably also up there as well, because most writers are not also graphic designers, which is why they need someone else to do their book cover. But also, most fiction writers are not very good at talking about themselves and selling themselves and talking about themselves and selling their books. So offering a book description or an author bio writing service would definitely be effective. You could even do a special deal where you offer to write someone a book description and then the author bio could be an upsell, or it could be a free value add or anything like that. There's a lot of ways that you can work within the fiction writing community to help earn some extra money if you're in a situation where you need to find clients, or maybe you're working on your own fiction book and you just need to make some extra money on the side. All right, so those are my favorite Nichesss AI writing tools for working on fiction. I hope you found that helpful. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do any specific tutorials with AI writing or Nichesss in particular. And also, if you check out my review and tutorial, let me know if it needs to be updated. I don't think there's been any huge changes to the way Nichesss looks and works since then, but let me know if there's anything that I should update about that. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.